As of July 15th, 2016, the public can now see what these 28 pages are. And the 28 pages are not meant to prove or disprove what happened on September 11th, 2001. All it does is just prove that the Saudis were involved at some level. And that's really it. That's the biggest thing about the 28 pages. That is the important thing here. And why they were hidden for so long is obviously a big question as well. You have at least two people who the FBI thinks are Saudi intelligence officers living in San Diego who have connections to two of the alleged hijackers of September 11th, both on the same flight. There is a direct tie right there between two of the September 11th hijackers aboard American Airlines Flight 77 and two people who could have been Saudi intelligence officers. Now, the police or the FBI does not call them Saudi intelligence officers. They say that the people living in San Diego, who are probably other Muslims going to the same mosque, that they thought that these two guys were Saudi intelligence officers. Those are the two people, the first two people that are mentioned in this article. You also have one San Diego FBI agent who says that Omar al-Bayoumi acted like a Saudi intelligence officer. He says, and if he was involved with the hijackers, which it looks like he was, if he signed leases, if he provided some sort of financing or payment of some sort, then I would say that there's a clear possibility that there might be a connection between Saudi intelligence and Osama bin Laden. So that's a quote given in 2002 during a closed hearing from a former San Diego FBI agent. Didn't take him long to become a former agent, right? So we see a lot of connections, some vague, some more just kind of very, very close ties between the Saudi government, the Saudi royal family, and the hijackers of September 11th. And not just ending there, not just those hijackers, it's also other terrorists that are connected to Al-Qaeda, whatever you want to say Al-Qaeda is, and also to people living inside of the USA, possibly still might be living inside. So the 28 pages do not answer a lot of questions except for the big one, which is, were the Saudis involved? Is there any proof that the Saudis were involved? I think these 28 pages give clear proof. A lot of this stuff is not anything new. It's not what a lot of other people haven't been saying. It's kind of the same thing. It's just now we get to see the actual document of it. And it's not the aha moment. It's not the moment that solves what happened on September 11th. It just adds to the whole puzzle. It's just another piece of this puzzle. There were two Saudis that were caught doing a test run back in 1999. And the test run was very interesting stuff here. While they were on board of this flight, these two people, quote, began asking flight attendants technical questions about the flight that the flight attendants found suspicious. And then one of the two men, he asked the flight attendants where the bathroom is, and she tells him the bathroom is in the back, this way, and he goes towards the cockpit, and at two separate times, this guy tries to open up the cockpit of this plane. And so the plane is stopped, the two people are taken off, and nothing really happens. The FBI investigated, but nothing happens, like over and over and over again. So we're not sure where that wall is, where the FBI's wall is, where they investigated and they were halted. They investigated, they turned a blind eye, blah, blah, blah. We're not really sure here what really happens, but to me this was one of the bigger things about these 28 pages that is not talked about that much either. So you want to look at this 1999 test run by these two Saudis who flew from Phoenix. They flew a plane from Phoenix, a commercial airliner, and headed to the Saudi embassy in Washington, D.C. And these two people claimed that the Saudi embassy paid for their plane tickets, and they were going to some party in Washington, D.C. So this test run happens here, and you have somebody who tries to break into the cockpit 2 different times. And now the FBI, after September 11th, the FBI felt that this was a test run. Phoenix FBI now believes both men were specifically attempting to test security procedures for American West Airlines in preparation for and in furtherance of Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda operations. So that's what the FBI thought after September 11th. Why would this stuff need to be censored is also another question. Unless you're protecting your friends, or unless you're really investigating this. But 14 years later, and let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they were investigating this since 2002, what have they found? Who have they prosecuted? Where have those trails led? Are they still investigating it? Are we going to have to wait another 20, 30 years to really find out? Or are they going to be investigating then too? Is it just a continual investigation so those roadblocks are always met, so that even if a good FBI agent tries to get to the truth, those roadblocks are put up so he can never get there, or so she can never get there? And that is very, I find that very, very troubling. I find that very troubling because I do believe there are good FBI agents out there. I do believe there are good CIA agents out there. There's a lot of good people out there who are trying to do the right thing, trying to follow those trails to find out what really happened here. And I think more and more and more, time after time, it's roadblock after roadblock. And these 28 pages are just one more roadblock. This is not, the 28 pages were nothing to prove that the Saudis pulled off September 11th, because I don't believe anybody can prove that it was just one group or just one people. It was a global thing. It was bigger than any country. It was the evil. It came from the devil. I don't believe that there's any other logical answer here. The same way that a lot of people did not question September 11th, they did not question what happened to John F. Kennedy. And we go on and on and on. But those are the 2 biggest ones that I see where we see a very strong, powerful, evil structure. And we see it. And sure, we didn't see it until after it happened. Some of us, like me, I didn't see this till way after, a couple years later, when I started looking at the evidence to show that September 11th was an inside job. And no matter what you say, no matter how you want to paint it or sugarcoat it, at some level it was an inside job. It's hard to believe that year after year after year, and it's gotten quieter and it's less and less and less, but year after year it's all about September 11th. We can't forget what happened, but yet we're not really talking about what really happened. We're talking about what the government told us and nothing else. And so what I want to see is more people, more politicians. I want to see Donald Trump. I want to see our president talk about some of the questions, some of the basic questions about September 11th. The country can put pressure on our president to actually come out and talk about September 11th, but he's got to be questioned. He's got to be asked. Somebody has to be able to be in that spot where they can ask Donald Trump and get a clear, concise answer about September 11th and Donald Trump's view. I think we really need that right now. Another big thing in the 28 pages that I would hope that you would look at are the stuff related to aviation. The pilots, where some of these companies worked, who some of these companies were, and their ties to Saudi aviation. Prince Bandar is another one that is mentioned here several times in several different parts of these 28 pages, so I would encourage you to look at that too and to see where those ties are with him. Some of it is still censored even in these 28 pages, but a lot of it just kind of shows that he's, you know, people had contact with him too. Uh, Terrorists had contact with him, and there's some ties to his companies, to the ASPCOL. Um, so it goes on and on like that. These are just 28 pages of ties between the Saudi government and September 11th. That's all it is. Just ties, connections. You can take those connections and go wherever you want to go with them, but they are there. So we can't really, I can't overlook them. I think there is a lot of interesting stuff in these 28 pages, and not just for right now, but for future stuff. So when other stuff comes out about what really happened on September 11th, I think these 28 pages are going to play a pretty crucial role in that, because I do believe there was a heavy Saudi involvement. You can't have, you know, a small Saudi involvement. You have the Saudi government, you have the Saudi royal family. That's a big involvement right there. Very powerful structure where the FBI, our intelligence agencies can follow those trails, and they probably already have those trails. So I think there's a lot of classified stuff that we don't even know to ask for that is probably out there, and we're not filing FOIAs because, you know, we don't even know what to really ask for. So we also need people on the inside to let us know what we should be asking for, what type of documents we should be looking for, so we can try to get those out to the public free of charge. So the former chief of Alex Station, a unit in the DCI's Counter-Terrorist Center, stated that it was clear from about 1996 that the Saudi government would not cooperate with the United States on matters relating to Osama bin Laden. This is from 1996. They already knew that the Saudis were not going to cooperate with them. I mean, where are we at now? 20 years later? Are they cooperating now? Are they? Come on. So, are we looking at that? But yet they're still our friend. They're an ally to this country, I guess. This former chief of Alex Station also said that Saudi assistance to the U.S. government on this matter was contrary to Saudi national interests. So, what type of friendship is that? What type of government do we have here where the U.S. is very supportive of the Saudis? We see that. We've seen that for years and years and years. Democrats and Republicans, both of them are. But yet, the Saudi national interest is contradictory to helping the U.S. government. So what does that say? I would say this. I wouldn't say the Saudis are the end of the trail. I really think, as some people have already pointed out, this is, you know, some people have told me this is a very small piece of the trail, and they're probably right. That's probably true. But this is where I see the trail starting, unless you start with the U.S. government. So you can start with the U.S. government. You can start with the Saudis and terrorism, and this boom in terrorism that we've seen that is still going on, that is now coming home. Another thing we learned from the 28 pages, the joint inquiry, is that they were able to help the FBI do their job. They were able to find facts that the FBI did not have, that the FBI did not see, even though maybe the FBI didn't have access to all of the documents. Maybe this was when the FBI got to see the CIA documents, other counterintelligence documents, other intelligence documents. This might have been the only way that the FBI could have really seen those documents. So that's definitely possible. But the more important thing is what the FBI did with that information. And that's kind of how the 28 pages end. Is, well, okay, now you have all of this information. You have all of these facts. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do with it? And what we found out is nothing. Nothing. Saudis go on. Terrorism goes on. USA goes on. 9/11 goes on. The official story moves on. At least on the outset. On the shell of the egg. But then you have the whole egg, and you have the real truth of what really happened there. That's what we're trying to do, is just break through the egg, break through that shell of the egg, and get to what really happened. I think we're getting there, and I think a lot of people have already, come to their own conclusion. A lot of people think that they've already figured it out, but for me, it's not about figuring out just everything, just knowing, or just that my theory, what I think is true. It is just about collecting data, getting the data, and go wherever that data takes you.